Hello and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, or even if it's not, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And also follow me on all social media, on my Twitter and on my Instagram to get notifications. So today we're going to be getting into my top favorite artists of 2018. I know it's been a few weeks that we're into 2019 now, but I had a little bit some technical difficulties and everything like that. So I'm still going to recap. And we're gonna talk about who I think is gonna dominate 2019 in music. All right, so let's get into it. So I've narrowed it down to 10 artists. They're not in particular order except my number one. That's gonna be in order. It's my channel, so I can do what I want. So my number one is the only one that's ranked. And that goes to you. You love the way I move you. You love the way I touch you, my one. When all is said and done, you believe God is a woman. And that goes to Ariana Grande, because I feel like what was 2018 without Ariana Grande? She dominated it, like no question, no, without a doubt. She got a lot of attention the whole year, not for her music, unfortunately, or just pretty much around. By the time she dropped Sweetener, all this stuff was happening to her. She didn't even play, it was just happening to her. I know a lot of artists and entertainers sometimes like go out of their way to get attention, and I felt bad because all this negative stuff was happening and has happened to her since about 2017. She dropped Sweetener. It was a huge success. She had the songs that we've all heard, No Tears Left to Cry, God is a Woman, and she had Breathe In. If you haven't heard, she had the whole inappropriate attention from a pastor at Aretha Franklin's funeral. She had her ex die of a drug overdose, and then was engaged right before that, and then had to break off the engagement. So a lot of the stuff just spiraled out of control. She said herself that this year was really good for her professionally, but personally, not at all. And for anybody, that's a lot to take on. But it did. I like how she just has been positive and turned a negative into a positive, and then that reflected in her music, because then she dropped my favorite song in 2018, which was Thank You Next, and it was just a bop. It's an anthem for all the girls in America or in the world, I don't know, and I loved it. She got so personal with it, and she got it from her personal experiences. She used that to just, instead of, she could have just gone into hiding, but instead, she just used all the negativity, and used it in her art to make good music. She also did that with Sweetener, I feel. And because of the Manchester bombing in 2017, she said she wanted to do just like a really positive album, just uplifting, and for her fans and for the victims or anybody who was associated with that bombing in 2017. And that reflected in the singles she dropped. And my favorite songs were the singles. Sweetener wasn't personally my favorite album of hers. I don't think it was bad. It just wasn't my favorite one. I do like Dangerous Woman and some of her past ones better, but I still think Sweetener was good, and it was really successful. I like this new method of how Ariana's just been dropping singles, because she just had Sweetener, but she's already dropped 3 singles since then. And I read on something she put on Instagram, this article, she had an interview in Rolling Stone about, that she just wants to kind of be like a rapper, like how they just drop singles all the time, and they don't, she said it's different, like with singers, they have to wait, especially female singers, have to wait, and you have to make this whole press thing around it and everything. And she's like, why can't I just drop it when I feel like it? Like whenever I want to feel like creating something, and then just dropping it, that's better for her with her fans and everything, because she's really interactive with her fans, so it makes sense. She's gonna have 2 albums like kind of back to back after Thank You Next comes out, and going on tour. And while she's on tour, she's gonna be singing songs from both of these albums. I don't think Thank You Next is gonna be super long, since she has only seemed to be working on it since like October, and she's saying it's gonna be out maybe next month. So it's probably gonna be like 6 or 7 songs, but I'm still really anxious to hear it. Now we're gonna get into the rest of the list. Like I said, the rest of this isn't really ranked. First, I'm gonna go off with my honorable mention, and it's gonna be Alicia Cara.
We're in some trouble, Mr. Maker, don't turn away from your screen.
It's hers is honorable mention because her song and album were kind of released near the end of the year, so I couldn't really count it for 2018 too much. But I still felt like it went hard. Like, I loved her album. I listened to her first one, Girl Next Door, and I love this one. I could see the growth from it. 7 Days is, I think, the best song on there, and I also liked Nintendo Games and Girl Next Door. So if you haven't heard, she just released in December, so if you haven't gone and listened to it, go ahead and listen to that right now. My next artist I want to talk about is Taylor Swift, my girl, which I already did a whole segment on, so I'm not going to go too much into her album, because, yeah, I already reviewed Reputation, but I do feel like she had a big 2018. She dropped her album in 2017, but, you know, it was late 2017, so it still crossed over into 2018. She had, you know, I think the biggest song on the radio I heard the most, that was played the most, was Delicate. And she also had Endgame. Big reputation. Ooh, you and me would be a big conversation. And she had the highest grossing tour, like, of all. She broke records with her tour this year. She broke her own records. So she had the highest grossing tour, like, of all, female tour of all time this year. And I believe that between Ariana and Tay, they kind of just ran pop for the year of 2018. And now we're going to get into another genre. The next genre is hip-hop for now. One of my artists is going to be Post Malone. He makes my list for 2018 because, in my opinion, Beer Bongs and Bentleys was an amazing album, and it's nominated for a Grammy Award this year for Best Rap Album. I loved the singles that he dropped. I also loved Rich and Sad, Zack and Codeine, and Ball From Me with Nicki Minaj. That was my jam. Also, Billboard and Complex Magazine named it one of the top albums of 2018. And can we also point out how Post Malone had a weird and just cursed 2018, like, along with Ari? Like, in his personal life, he had, like, a couple of near-death experiences, a plane that was almost gonna crash, a car accident, and he got his old home broken into. So he had a really good year professionally, but not personally as well. But we all survived 2018, and another person who kind of had a weird personal life in 2018 is none other than Cardi B. So Cardi B dropped her highly anticipated album last year, Invasion of Privacy. After Bodak Yellow in 2017, it was like a follow-up, and she's had a couple mixtapes, but this was her first official debut album, and it was just hit after hit after hit. Like, she had Drip, she had Bartier Cardi, she had Be Careful, I Like It, and Ring, which are all of pretty much my favorite songs on there. I also like Dick and Head, and I like Money Bag. And some critics who have echoed my opinion are Eleanor Halls of GQ, who wrote, Invasion of Privacy proves Bodak Yellow was far from a summer one-hit wonder. These money moves are played for the long game. So I thought that was a good depiction of it. And Rob Sheffield of Rolling Stone writes that the album is lavishly emotional, intimately personal, and wildly funny, and that Invasion proves that she's here to stay, which I totally agree with as well. Alright, I've covered enough female artists for now, so let me just transition into the male artists. So Drake, Kiki, Do You Love Me? Are You Riding? So You Never Ever Leave From Beside Me. Where would 2018 be without Drake? Like, he had he had such an impact on the music industry, and on music, on pop culture, everything. Everybody was doing the In My Feelings challenge. Everybody on my Instagram timeline, I was doing it. Will Smith, everybody from like Will Smith to Sierra, everybody was doing it. Like, all because of Drake and Shiggy, who popularized it. But yeah, but because of Drake's song. Where would we be without the line from God's Plan? He has the most quotable lyrics. Like, where would we be without, she said, do you love me? I tell her only partly. I only love my bed and my mom. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, that defined 2018. So I definitely think Drake helped dominate 2018. As far as Scorpion went, just personally, it wasn't my favorite album from him either. Like Ariana, I like some of his past albums better, but the songs I did like were pretty much what he released, and then I also like Nonstop, Mob Ties. I pretty much like the side A, like the hip hop version, more than the side B. But I still feel like, it was good. I just like some of his other stuff better. But he still made the list for a reason. And he collabed with my next artist on this list, who is Travis Scott. Made this here with all the ice on in the boot. I definitely feel like Travis Scott had one of the biggest, hip hop albums of the year, and he's nominated for a Grammy for Best Rap Album as well. I haven't listened to his other albums in full, but I have listened to Astroworld, and that makes me want to go back and listen to him because I always like to compare and to see how an artist has grown. And I do feel like this was one of the best rap albums of 2018. And some people who have written that as well are Royce O'Connor of The Independent, who described Astroworld as a futuristic record with virtually flawless production that lingers on the mind long after the final track, which I agree with, and said it was his most career-defining album to date. And also, he's made some of the lists on some of the top 50 or top 25 albums of 2018 from Billboard, Complex, Entertainment Weekly, Rolling Stone, and more. So besides Sicko Mode, which was a huge hit, my favorite songs on the album were Yosemite and Carousel. All right, so time to switch genres again. Now we're gonna get back. We're gonna go to like rock, pop rock. So for this one, Panic at the Disco, I think, was one of my favorite albums of 2018. And I do think it was pretty impactful. High Hopes has been a big hit for them. And I hate that the radio's been playing it out, but it is a really great song. Pray for the Wicked was just an amazing album. I didn't feel like I literally love every song on the album. I don't feel like any of them are really that skippable, or everything's just play. I love when you can just play an album all the way through and you just love every song, and I feel like that was the case for them. I'm also, with this artist, I haven't really listened to their past albums. I've heard, I Write Sins Not Tragedies, like we've all heard it. We all sing it at karaoke. We all belt it out in the car. But like I never listened to the album. And some of my favorite songs on here besides High Hopes, I really liked Say Amen and Saturday Night, Hey Look Ma, I Made It, and Dancing's Not a Crime. Like all those were my jam this year. And Panic at the Disco has been in the game for a while. I guess this album got mixed reviews, so like I said, I can't really compare it to the other ones, but I thought it was good, and I'm excited to see what else they have for in the future. So like I've said, this list is not ranked, but just in case you're wondering what number we're on, it's number 8, and this next spot goes to Troye Sivan. And if you're not familiar with him, he started off kind of with YouTube and Australian singing competitions, and now he's just a full-fledged artist. And I had heard his song Youth like 3 years ago, like I don't know, 2015, 2016, and I didn't know it was the same person. You know how sometimes you listen to something and you don't know it's the same artist as like later. So I didn't listen to his last album either, but I have listened to Bloom. I mean, I've heard a couple of his singles, but not the whole album. I listened to Bloom and I fell in love with it. This was an artist I got to even see in concert this year, and he's really good in concert, by the way, if you ever want to go see him. He even did a cover of another artist I put on the list, which was Post Malone. His cover of Better Now. It's awesome. And just a review of the album, if you haven't heard it, which is a good summary of it that I saw, was from Claire Biddles, who wrote, "It's an exceptional album, but maybe more importantly, it's a beacon for queer people who struggle to recognize our neuroses, societal and personal, with our potential for joy and love. So if you didn't know, Troye Sivan is gay. He's come out as gay, and I feel like in Bloom, he bloomed. It's about his like coming into his comfortability with his sexuality and everything. And I feel like that the whole album really shapes him as an artist, and just like it's shown his growth as just a human being. Next on the list, this is as country as I'll get, but I want to, give justice to more than just one genre and be more eclectic. So I don't really listen to a lot of country, and if it is, it's kind of country pop. But my next artist, who I think helped shape 2018, was Maren Morris.
Usually a drink will do the trick.
I loved her song, I Could Use a Love Song. Like, that was my jam earlier this year. And a lot of people kind of know her if you're not a super fan of her or whatever, because she has an album out that's been out for a couple years, but she didn't make it to mainstream until like this year, I feel like, with The Middle. So a lot of people recognize her from that if they didn't already know her. But she has an amazing album out that's already been out, and I thought I Could Use a Love Song was really one of the top songs of 2018. I wish it would have been played more, but I am a music fan, so I just go and I look and research music, and I just go look for new music all the time. And I learned about it from like Spotify. So she proves that she can, do country and pop, and I feel like for that, she could be the next Taylor Swift or something. I don't know. I feel like she has a bright future ahead of her, and she has a really great voice. She's a great songwriter, so I'm anxious to see what she has coming up. And last but not least on my list is Camila Cabello.
Havana, ooh, na, na.
If you don't know who she is, but you know who Fifth Harmony is, or vice versa, she was in the group Fifth Harmony, and she made her solo debut like late last year. And I think she's been, kicking butt. Like 2018 was a big year for her. Havana was one of the biggest songs of the year. And she also had some other songs, Consequences and Real Friends, that I thought were awesome as well. And they were on the radio. Those were my two other favorite songs, which I just have an ear for that. When I hear an album, I usually know what the artist is going to release as a single. So I already knew those were going to be great singles. I think as a debut album for her, it was a really good album. And I feel like, she has a future ahead of her too. I didn't listen to a whole lot of Fifth Harmony. I mean, I listened to their songs on the radio, and I liked Work, but I didn't really listen to the whole album. And I think she's making a name for herself. It was so controversial when she broke out. She got a lot of flack for it. But I think now that everybody's been jamming the Havana, they've all forgiven her. Everything is well now. I actually saw her open up for Bruno Mars in concert a year and a half ago, pretty much. And that's when she had the song Oh My Gosh. And that was when I first heard Havana. But with music, sometimes, it takes a while to catch on. So it wasn't even until 2018 that song became pretty big. Even before that, I saw she was starting to branch out from Fifth Harmony, so I kind of already predicted that because she was doing other projects, that she was going to end up going solo. And I mean, most bands, I feel like 90% of bands usually end up breaking up and going solo anyway. And that concludes my list for 2018's artists. Now I'm going to get into who I think will dominate 2019. So 2019 is going to be kind of repetitive of some of the people I already put on this list, but hey, I mean, they're dropping music in 2019 too. So first I'm going to start off by saying Ari. She's already dominating 2019. She just dropped her new song, Seven Rings, a few days ago, and it's already been talked about. I haven't listened to it yet because I'm waiting to do a reaction to her album, so I haven't even listened to Imagine. All I've listened to is Thank You Next. But I'm super excited for her new album, Thank You Next, because like I said, I think this will be her best album. It's going to be really personal, I feel like. She already was really personal with Thank You Next, the song. So I can only imagine what she's going to put in this album. And just given everything she's been through, and as an artist, it's really therapeutic and cathartic to put all your pain into your art. So I feel like she's had a lot to talk about. Next up again is Taylor Swift. Being the stan that I am, I already know that she's gonna drop music in 2019. She's been giving out clues. So the fan that I am, plus listening to other fans and listening to her, she's dropped hints that her first single is gonna most likely come out on April 13th. Every Taylor Swift fan knows she loves the number 13. And this is sooner than she would usually release a song. She usually in the past has released everything kind of like in the summer or fall. So she's not really released anything in the spring, but I'm here for it because my birthday is in April and that's like a birthday gift to me. But I don't know. This will be her 7th album and she usually drops something every 2 years. So it would be around the time except for Reputation, that was a year later than she usually would have, which I covered in my review. But usually it's every 2 years, so that would make sense for her to put out another album. I just think it's going to be sooner than the fall. It's usually in the fall, so maybe it's going to be like spring she's going to release the single, and then in the summer it'll be her next album, TS7. But everybody's calling, the Swifties are calling it TS7. Who else I think is going to dominate in 2019 or who's expected to drop music is Lana Del Rey. She just released the song Hope is a Dangerous Thing for a Woman, and I mean, she released the song, so I'm hoping an album will come up soon. I don't know too much about Lana's personal life, but I have listened to her other albums and they don't disappoint, so I'm really excited for that. Next up, I feel like who is going to still always drop music is Migos because every like month they haven't, I don't know. They are just rappers in general, just drop songs every week, it seems like, every month. So I feel like they'll still dominate trap music, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Also, that brings me to Cardi B. She's also gonna drop music in 2019. She just dropped Money like a month or two ago, so I feel like that's leading up to something. And I saw on Instagram she had this song called Press, so she's been talking about that because, she just had a crazy year in 2018 too, just personally, just with Offset and all these cheating scandals and all this stuff, and like they're breaking up, and she had the highly publicized I wouldn't call it a fight, but she tried to attack Nicki Minaj. So I feel like she has a lot to talk about. I mean, she said that she's not going to talk about her attacking Nicki. She's not going to address that anymore. Like, they've already had all these public spats, like, between each other on Instagram and everything. So I think she's gonna kind of leave it alone. But either way, she's gotten a lot of flack from the media, or just people, just fans, Nicki fans, whatever, people just turning on her or whatever. So she talking about Press, like, that makes sense. The media's come down on her. A lot of people have come down on her and disowned her as a fan and everything. And she's still new to being famous, so she's still adjusting to it. So that it just makes sense that she would come out with something. And the next ones are rumors and / hopeful wishing for 2019. Rihanna. She hasn't come out with an album in a while, and it's rumored that she's gonna have some new music coming out. I would be excited for that. I loved her last album. I also kind of like Ariana. Like, I've become a bigger fan every year. Every time like she drops an album, it's like progressive. Like, at first I was just kind of whatever, but every year I've gotten to be a bigger fan. I feel like she's become you've seen her improve as an artist, and she's become a lot more personal and everything like that. So I miss Rihanna's songs. I mean, she had Lemon or whatever with Nerd last year, but we haven't really heard that much from her lately. And it's different because in the beginning she just released stuff back to back to back. So I'll be really excited to hear something new from her. Next up is The Weeknd. The Weeknd did release music in 2018, and he almost made my list, but it was just because it was like a shortened EP, like it was 6 songs, which they were all good, but I don't know, I just wanted more. I wanted more from The Weeknd. I love him, and I think he's an amazing artist. He always has these like really long albums, like 17 songs or whatever, so he may be dropping something this year. I mean, he did just drop a song recently, so that might until coming out with an album. I don't know. He has had a lot to talk about in his personal life as well. He already kind of talked about it in his EP, like he had a breakup with Selena and all this stuff. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what's going on with that. Next would be Adele. It's rumored that she might be coming out with some new music. I would be here for it if she was. I mean, you know, she's one of those artists that comes out with something every like 3 or 4 years. And I mean, it would be around that time because she had 21, she had 25, and now it's be like 29, right? So I think it's due for an album. Like, I've seen her in concert as well. She's an amazing artist and vocalist. Like, I love Adele, so I would definitely be here for something new. And these next few are just wishful thinking and hoping. So let me get into my last few artists I want to hear from in 2019. Number 1, Justin Bieber. Like, where have you been? Okay, this one song a year, I mean, they are always these huge, good songs, you know, and it's a bop. That's enough for non-believers, but for believers, like, we need more than that. I'm sorry, okay? Like, it's been 3 years since you've had an album. I need more from you. This will be going on the 4th year. Like, where is Justin Bieber? I mean, yeah, he hasn't been totally silent. I don't know. I need more from, like, it's due time, you know? And he's had a lot to talk about. He's gotten married now. He's, you know, like, I feel like he should really grow. He's grown. He's grown now. You know, he was like 13 when he came out. He's a grown man now. Come on, Justin. You need to come out with some more. Next up, I feel like I want to hear from Ed Sheeran again. I feel like it wouldn't be crazy if he came out with something in 2019. Like, the last album he had was 2017, technically, so that's like 2 years. I mean, I adore Ed Sheeran. He's so talented and versatile. Like, he can do a ballad, and then he can rap. He plays guitar. Like, he's just everything mixed into one. And I think he's had 4 albums now. Yeah, he's also somebody who's, I don't think he's married yet, but I know he's engaged. I don't know. I'm not a super whatever into his personal life, but he still has a lot to talk about, and he's really creative. So you know, we also hear from him. We heard from him for Endgame for this year, and he still had some singles off of his off of Divide that were played, you know, this year. But I would love to hear some new music. And I had the chance to see him. I've seen him in concert once. I got to see him again this year with Bruno Mars, and it was amazing. Those are my two favorite male artists of this generation are them. So I was excited, of course. My last wishful thinking, of course, would be Bruno Mars. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a super huge Bruno Mars fan. And I don't think he is going to have anything in 2019. But this is my wishful thinking list, okay? And even if he just had a song with someone else, that would be fine. But, I mean, he has been, you know, he's had a lot of music out these past couple of years. And he's also somebody who likes to take breaks, which I hate. He's like takes 3 or 4 years to come out with something, which is like really irritating for me since he's like one of my favorite artists. We have had a lot of him in the past couple of years, so it makes sense. And I'm not this biased to where I put him on the list, because obviously I did not put him on the list for 2018. He did have the song "Wake Up in the Sky," but you know, he basically to me more ran 2017. You know, because he came out with his album at the end of, 2016. But, you know, whenever he comes out with his new album, I'm sure he'll dominate that year. But, you know. And this concludes my list of top artists for 2018 and who I think will be dominating in 2019. If you agree, any opinions, comments, concerns, just comment down below. I'd love to interact with you. Anybody who you recommend I listen to. Also comment down below. I love hearing new artists. I love listening to new music. I don't listen to a lot of country, but that's pretty much the only genre. But I am gonna get into Casey Musgraves. I've heard from another YouTuber that her last album wasn't too country, so I feel like I want to listen to some of the Grammy nominations too before the Grammys come out. So if you have any, comments, feel free to just put them down and I'll interact and just share whatever you like. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see y'all next time. I'm out.